Hello and welcome to Guerrilla English. My name is Dan. I'm videotaping, or not taping anything, I'm videoing here in what will be my office and my classroom, which will be down below me down there. And as you can see now, it's quite a mess down there. The rest of the building this is what it looks like. This is the middle floor. I moved in here. This is a building that we've had for some years. I helped make it, and so I really enjoy it. Here at Guerrilla English, I'll be making videos to help my students learning English as a foreign language here in Japan. I've been here in Japan for 40 years, since 1986. And when I came in 1986, one of the things that we didn't have much of were listening materials, any kind of audio or audio-visual. There were movies and so on. And today I'd like to talk about the importance of listening and what it's like now. But when I came in 1986, there were virtually no listening materials available. There were some, of course. There were some cassette tapes, reel-to-reel tapes, some movies, that kind of thing. But basically, there were no readily available listening media available. If you lived in a big city, maybe, or close to a U.S. base someplace in Japan, you might be lucky enough to get Voice of America or Armed Forces Radio. If you had some money, you could order some video series, like a VOA series of video cassette tapes. Those were available, but were quite expensive. Cassette tapes would come along with textbooks most of the time. But otherwise, there was very little listening media available. And I think that was one of the reasons that the native speaker, as they're called, were so popular in Japan, is just because we were the portable cassette players. We were the portable audio media that was readily available, portable, and I wonder about the business model at that time of the conversation schools. They call them eikaiwa, or now even. I wonder about the business model. I wonder how much English was actually learned and how much was something like pimping out the Caucasians for some kind of listening opportunity at best. But I came in 1986 and I worked in eikaiwa schools and English conversation schools for a while, and then I moved to I started working at a university for some years. They had quite a lot more money. It was a public university, and they had a lot of money, so they could afford videos and cassettes, and more media was available to them. But things have changed. It's not quite infinite. Of course, infinite's an exaggeration, but a nearly infinite amount of audio media available online through YouTube, through these kinds of videos. So things have changed quite a lot. Videotapes have come and gone. Hardly ever see them ever again. Cassette tapes, I have a few, but I never use them. CDs, I infrequently listen to old CDs. But there's a limitless variety of listening opportunities available for learners. I think the question is then, what do you do with it? And I think scarcity was an issue 40 years ago. Scarcity of listening opportunities, of hearing English. there was a scarcity, and that was a problem. But now I'm not sure what's stopping, what kind of barriers there are, why there aren't more fluent speakers of English. When I first came to Japan, I knew some fluent speakers of English. One of my favorite stories is about a soba noodle proprietor who was a fluent speaker of English, and his only input was NHK Radio English, and he studied with that. He listened and repeated diligently, regularly, and in his travels around the town, he would stop Caucasians if he bumped into them and strike up a conversation. Well, that was really good for his business as a noodle maker and seller, and it was also good for his language skills, because his language skills were pretty good, and the non-Japanese population soon realized that Koichi was his name, was a good person to call when you wanted noodles delivered to your house. And so it was good for his business. It was good for us because we knew Koichi made good noodles, and his language skills were very good. I also knew some English teachers. They had other opportunities to learn English, but Koichi was a gem, really. So let's consider what I think students in this opportunity-rich environment that we find ourselves in 2026, what do I consider the best ways to go about improving your listening skills? And I think that is the most fundamental part of language, is its the audio skills. So when I think about that, I think, okay, well, what happens with children? Now, I know some people don't like that comparison. They don't like to compare children and adult learning. But in my experience, especially with Japanese, it was appropriate. It's appropriate to make that comparison. The reason I think that is because I listened so much. I listened a lot. That was my intent when I came here, was to learn Japanese, and so I listened a lot to Japanese. So I think in this case, a comparison between children learning their first language and learning a second language is appropriate. So I'd like to talk about that, and it also gives us some numbers to work with. So let's look at that and see what that looks like. So if you figure that a baby's born when it's not sleeping, and possibly even when it's sleeping, but when the baby's not sleeping, which is we can say, right, the baby sleeps 10 hours a day, they'll have 14 hours a day of listening if they live in a language-rich environment with mom, dad, their brothers and sisters. If they go to kindergarten or nursery school, they'll have their friends and teachers. If they live in a language-rich environment, they'll have lots and lots of input every day, around 14 hours of input. So what does that look like? Well, let's say we want to get as good language as a 3-year-old child. What does that mean? Well, if they listen for 14 hours every day for 13 years, how many hours does that make? That makes about 15,330 hours of listening. So that's about how much listening a child gets up till the 3rd year. And that's hours. If we want to look at it in minutes, which I want to use, we've got 919,800 minutes of listening. That's how many minutes a child listens to by the time they're 3 years old. And I think, all right, well, the skills of a 3-year-old are not bad. I'll take that in terms of listening and speaking skills in a foreign language. Well, let's divide that into YouTube videos. For example, I'm not saying YouTube videos are the only media available for students to listen to, but let's say that we'll just look at as an example. One YouTube video, the average YouTube video is a little less than 20 minutes. So if we say 20 minutes for academic purposes, let's say a 20-minute video. So if we listen to a 20-minute video, 20-minute videos over 3 years, how many videos is that going to be? That's going to be this number of videos, 45,900 20-minute videos. Right? So that's how many videos we would have to listen to, and that would be about 15,330 videos per year we would have to listen to get our 20-minute videos, to get our the same amount of time with it as a 3-year-old child. So that's 42 average length videos per day, 42, and that would be 840 minutes per day, 840 minutes, which is 14 hours. So it works. 14 hours of listening. If you listen to that many videos during the day, you get your 14 hours. That's how much a 3-year-old is going to listen to or hear in their first language over time. Listening or training your ear is essential, and it's huge. I can't overstate it. So we would be wise to be listening as much as possible during our day. You can go about that any way you want to. You can sit down and watch videos online, or you can listen while you're commuting or washing the dishes. You can listen in any number of ways, but listen. Now, the one thing that I think some people might say is, oh, but Stephen Krashen, who is kind of the godfather of second language teaching, says that people should have access to what he calls comprehensible input. Comprehensible means understandable input. Comprehensible input, what does comprehensible mean? And my feeling is that if we have some place to start, for example, let's take the example of receiving a telephone call from a person you don't know who it is. And you pick up, you answer the phone, you decide to answer the phone. You don't know who the opposite person is going to be. In the first few seconds of that phone call, you're going to be thinking of lots of different things. Who is this? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Do they have some kind of accent? Are they speaking Japanese or English? Is they speaking in some kind of a dialect? What do they want, basically? And in those first few seconds, we have enough comprehension that we can say, oh, we want to continue this phone call, or we don't. Either way. So YouTube, for example, might not be totally comprehensible. You may not understand 100% of what's going on, but you can use some of the tools available. So, for example, you can use closed captions. You can use the slow down button, like you can slow it down by some percentage, or you can often listen to the videos in another language. So there are options available for listening to videos. So my suggestion is that you listen as much as possible. 1 or 2 hours is not enough. 1 or 2 hours during a week is certainly not enough. I teach at a university and we have 90-minute classes. 1 90-minute class a week is not going to be enough. Not going to cut it at all. So listen, and I always say that listening should be fun, fascinating, and far and wide. Fun. Listen to it for fun. Have fun listening to it. Whatever it is you're listening to, whatever you're interested in, listen to that. Fascinating, interesting things will hold your attention. Whether you had thought it was interesting before or not, if you find it interesting, it will hold your attention. And the last one is far and wide. And I remember, as a child, what did I listen to? One of the things I listened to was news on television. Every day at 7 o'clock, the nightly news would come on, and my parents would watch it, and I would sit and listen. Now, was I interested in it? No, not especially. Was it fun? Absolutely not. But that's all there was. So I listened to what that was. And so far and wide. Listen to things that you might not necessarily enjoy or find interesting, but it's simply another genre of information. So take that all in. So my point today in this video has been, as a language learner, the most important part of learning any language is being able to understand spoken language. And first and foremost, learners should be listening to anything they can get their hands on as much as possible during the day. And I use the example of a 3-year-old. If we want to get as good as a 3-year-old, how much are we going to have to listen to a day? How many YouTube videos does that include? And finally, my suggestion is to listen for fun, for fascination, and listen far and wide. And that's what I suggest to everybody if they want to learn any language, is to start there. Well, thank you for coming along. Thank you for listening to the video, and hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.